Effective solid waste management steps to be followed to avoid public health include waste reduction. This is the most important step in solid waste management, as it reduces the amount of waste that needs to be collected, transported, and disposed of. Waste reduction can be achieved through a variety of measures, such as buying less stuff, reusing and repairing items, and composting food waste. Waste segregation. This involves separating waste into different categories, such as dry waste, wet waste, and hazardous waste. Waste segregation is important because it allows for different types of waste to be managed in the most appropriate way. For example, dry waste can be recycled, wet waste can be composted, and hazardous waste can be disposed of in a safe manner. Waste collection and transportation. Waste collection and transportation services should be efficient and reliable to ensure that waste is collected and transported to disposal or treatment facilities in a timely manner. Waste treatment and disposal. Waste treatment and disposal facilities should be designed and operated in a way that minimizes the risk to public health and the environment. Some common waste treatment and disposal methods include incineration, landfilling, and composting. In addition to the above steps, it is also important to raise awareness. Public awareness about the importance of solid waste management and the steps that can be taken to reduce waste and manage it properly is essential. Develop and enforce regulations. Governments should develop and enforce regulations to ensure that solid waste is managed in a safe and environmentally sound manner. Invest in infrastructure. Governments and businesses should invest in infrastructure and technologies to improve solid waste management practices. By following these steps, we can reduce the public health risks associated with solid waste. Here are some specific examples of how the above steps can be implemented to avoid public health risks. Waste reduction. Businesses can reduce waste by using recycled materials in their products and packaging. Schools can teach students about the importance of waste reduction and recycling. Individuals can reduce waste by buying less stuff, reusing and repairing items, and composting food waste. Waste segregation. Communities can set up collection systems for different types of waste, such as dry waste, wet waste, and hazardous waste. Businesses can have separate bins for different types of waste in their offices and workplaces. Individuals can sort their waste at home before putting it out for collection. Waste collection and transportation. Municipalities can hire waste collection companies to collect waste from households and businesses. Waste collection companies should use vehicles that are properly maintained and that have sealed containers to prevent the spread of disease. Waste treatment and disposal. Municipalities can develop landfills and incinerators to dispose of waste. Landfills should be lined to prevent leachate from contaminating groundwater. Incinerators should be equipped with pollution control devices to reduce emissions. Businesses can send their hazardous waste to specialized treatment facilities. Raise awareness. Governments can launch public awareness campaigns about the importance of solid waste management. Schools can teach students about the different types of waste and how to manage it properly. Businesses can encourage their employees to reduce waste and to recycle. Develop and enforce regulations. Governments can develop and enforce regulations on waste collection, transportation, treatment, and disposal. Businesses should comply with all applicable environmental regulations. Invest in infrastructure. Governments can invest in waste collection and transportation infrastructure, such as landfills and incinerators. Businesses can invest in waste reduction and recycling technologies. By taking these steps, we can create a cleaner and healthier environment for everyone. Inadequate and improper waste management can have a number of negative environmental impacts, including land pollution. Improper waste disposal can lead to the contamination of soil and groundwater. This can happen when leachate from landfills seeps into the ground or when hazardous waste is disposed of in landfills that are not properly designed or operated. Land pollution can damage plants and wildlife, and can also make soil unsuitable for agriculture. Water pollution. Improper waste disposal can also lead to the pollution of surface water bodies, such as rivers, lakes, and oceans. This can happen when stormwater runoff carries pollutants from waste disposal sites into water bodies, or when industrial waste is discharged directly into water bodies without proper treatment. Water pollution can harm aquatic life and make water unsafe for human consumption. Air pollution. The burning of waste can release harmful pollutants into the air. These pollutants can include particulate matter, greenhouse gases, and toxic chemicals. Air pollution can cause respiratory problems, heart disease, and cancer. Climate change. Methane, a greenhouse gas, is produced by the decomposition of organic waste in landfills. Methane is much more potent than carbon dioxide, another greenhouse gas, at trapping heat in the atmosphere. Climate change can lead to a variety of environmental problems, including rising sea levels, more extreme weather events, and changes in plant and animal life. Loss of biodiversity. Improper waste disposal can damage ecosystems and lead to the loss of biodiversity. For example, plastic pollution can kill marine animals and seabirds. Hazardous waste can damage plants and wildlife. The loss of biodiversity can have a number of negative impacts on the environment, including reduced ecosystem resilience and increased risk of disease outbreaks. In addition to these environmental impacts, inadequate and improper waste management can also have negative public health impacts. For example, exposure to air pollution from waste burning can cause respiratory problems, heart disease, and cancer. Exposure to water pollution from waste disposal sites can cause gastrointestinal illnesses and other health problems. It is important to note that the environmental and public health impacts of inadequate and improper waste management can vary depending on the types of waste involved and the specific waste management practices that are used. For example, the environmental impact of a landfill that is properly designed and operated will be much less than the environmental impact of a landfill that is not properly designed and operated. It is also important to note that the environmental and public health impacts of inadequate and improper waste management are cumulative. This means that the impacts of waste management practices can build up over time, even if the impacts of individual practices are relatively small. Therefore, it is important to implement effective waste management practices to minimize the environmental and public health impacts of waste. This includes reducing the amount of waste generated, recycling and composting whenever possible, and disposing of waste in a safe and environmentally sound manner.